got a little hodgepodge of books to read, and I figured I might as well make a vlog out of it. So here we are. All of these books are quite different from each other, but I definitely think that's going to make an interesting like week and a half of reading because it's nice to kind of have variety. So starting off is a book that I'm already like 75% of the way into, and that is I Hate Everyone Except You by Clinton Kelly. I actually started reading this one the other day when I was doing a reading for 24 hours vlog, and I didn't quite finish it, and so here I am and I need to finish it because it's going to be due back to my library in like a week. That one is definitely a priority for me. And then I also ended up checking out another library book that I have been waiting for a few months now, and that is Helter Skelter, the true story of the Manson murders. So this book was written by Vincent Bugliosi, who was the prosecuting attorney in the Manson trial, and this book is basically his account of how it all happened, how he gathered evidence against Charles Manson and prosecuted him. Obviously, this book is very popular and is considered one of the best true crime books ever written, so it's about time that I finally read it. I more watch true crime things rather than read them, so it's definitely interesting to finally be reading stuff about it. Anyway, those are the two from my library that I'm going to be reading for this vlog, and then I also said in my 24 hours of reading that I wanted to get to Regretting You by Colleen Hoover, just to kind of start getting through the Colleen Hoover that's built up on my shelf. I didn't end up getting to this one at all, and so I'd like to kind of do that and keep my word. I know nothing about this one going into it, so it ought to be interesting because Colleen Hoover is definitely hit or miss with me. Some of them I've really liked and others I just absolutely could not stand. And then last but certainly not least, I was sent an ARC for a fantasy novel called King of the Forgotten Darkness by Eric Goodwin. I cannot wait to get into this book because I have not started like a new fantasy series where I'm unfamiliar with the world in such a long time. Honestly, I can't remember the last new fantasy series I started. So it's about time that I start another one. I definitely wanted to get to this arc sooner rather than later. So I'm thinking maybe a little later today or tomorrow, I might kind of listen to I Hate Everyone Except You just to finish it. But I think for right now, I'm going to start King of the Forgotten Darkness. So I'm now on chapter 9 of King of the Forgotten Darkness, and I'm really enjoying this book so far. So I don't know about you, but I always find starting a new fantasy can be pretty intimidating because world building can be very intense and confusing, and sometimes characters' names are odd, or sometimes even words you've never heard of or the author has made up, and it can be very just overwhelming. But this book is reading so easy. Like, I feel like I'm just flying through it, and the world building was not overwhelming at all, which is very rare in a fantasy novel. I always find like the first few chapters tend to drag, but this one didn't have that at all. Honestly, this world feels like one that I already know and I've been in before. I don't know really how to describe it, but like it feels comfortable. I also really like the main character, Liam, so far. He's funny, but also like very self-aware, and I definitely think his backstory so far has been very interesting. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this one so far, and I can't wait to get even further into it and see where the story is going because it's giving me kind of 5-star vibes right now, which is really awesome for a fantasy. So I think I'm probably gonna stop kind of reading for today just because I am getting a little bit tired right now and my eyes are feeling kind of tired, but hopefully if I have time tomorrow, I'm going to definitely pick this one up again. So I did end up finishing I Hate Everyone Except You, and I must say I really enjoyed it. It was probably one of the most lighthearted memoirs I've ever read. It was honestly just a fun time. So if you're ever on the lookout for a memoir that's like full of funny stories and is written by someone who doesn't take their life too seriously, that one is really good, and it definitely put a smile on my face a few times. Then last night I finally got to finish King of the Forgotten Darkness. I went to read it the other day and my Kobo was completely dead, so I settled on starting Regretting You by Colleen Hoover, and I only made it about 30 pages into this one because I really wanted to get back into King of the Forgotten Darkness, and it was kind of on my mind, and this one kind of just kept me occupied until my Kobo was done charging. So back to King of the Forgotten Darkness. I liked this one so much. I'm definitely rating it 4 stars, and I think the only reason why I'm not giving it 5 stars is just because I kind of felt like some of the characters could have had a little bit more backstory and should have had more page time, I guess. I would have liked to have known a little bit more about some of them, but I loved the world that Eric Goodwin created so much. He did such a phenomenal job at creating such a vivid universe that I can like picture in my mind so well, and every single time I picked up the book, I was transported instantly into that world. That was honestly one of the best parts of that book, was just how well executed the world was and how truly immersed the reader feels in it. So really great book. If you are into fantasy at all, like the Lord of the Rings or any kind of fantasy where you're kind of transported into a completely different world than our own, highly recommend this one. So much fun. And I think it comes out in April of next year, but I did check and you can pre-order it right now on Amazon. It was a really fun read, and I am hoping in the future that there's going to be a sequel because I need more. I did not want it to end where it did, but it's done. So now with all of that being said, I really need to read Helter Skelter because I only have like 4 days left to read it before it's due back to my library, and I haven't started it, and it's like a 600-page book. So I believe in myself. I think I can read that in 4 days, even though I work for 3 out of 4 of those days. I've read bigger books in less time. So I think I'm going to start reading Helter Skelter right now, and I'm probably not going to touch Forgetting You until I finish Helter Skelter, just because this kind of needs to be my priority right now. So with that being said, I am going to just kind of curl up here in my chair and start Helter Skelter. So I am now 43% of the way into Helter Skelter, and obviously I did not come anywhere close to finishing it before it was due back to my library, so I actually ended up buying the ebook on my Kobo just because I am really enjoying it, so I didn't mind spending the money on it. I thought about getting the physical copy because the ebook doesn't include the pictures that are in the actual physical copy, but then I would have had to wait like 2 or 3 days for it to arrive, and it was like twice the price as the ebook, so I figured that this was just the better route to go, honestly, and it saved my place where I was at from my library copy, so that was really nice. I didn't have to try to figure out where I had left off. But yeah, suffice to say that it is taking a while to get through this book. It is a very chunky book, so I'm definitely thinking that I might just stick to reading Helter Skelter and once again not read Regretting You by Colleen Hoover and just save that one until like November or December, just because I really want to get into like my spooky fall reads soon. I don't want to put that off too long. So now I'm feeling like it is crunch time on Helter Skelter. I really want to finish it in the next few days if that's even remotely possible. It is really good. It's just very dense with information, and I feel like I don't want to accidentally like miss any details or anything like that. But anyway, that's what I've decided. I'm shelving Regretting You. I only read like the first few chapters, so it's fine. I'll probably end up restarting it whenever I go to read it again, and I am going to try to finish Helter Skelter, and hopefully the next time I talk to you I will have finished Helter Skelter. So I just finally finished Helter Skelter. It took way longer than the 4 days that I thought I could do it in. I definitely could not. It was not happening. I think it took about 2 weeks, honestly. So this reading blog that I thought was going to be like a week long, once again was like the last time I did one, and it ended up being like 2 to 3 weeks. But I finally finished it, and I had a really great time reading this one. I thought I knew quite a bit about Charles Manson and his quote-unquote family, but I guess I really didn't, because there were multiple things in this book that really shocked me, honestly. If you're into true crime and you don't mind like a massive novel, I highly recommend Helter Skelter. I don't, however, think I'm going to rate this one just because it feels kind of weird to rate it. It's not exactly like a memoir, but it is in a way. I don't know. I'm not going to rate it, but I am going to say it's definitely for a certain type of person, and if this sounds like it might be interesting to you, I highly recommend it. But I think we are finally at the end of this reading vlog. Hopefully I will see you again soon in a spooky reading vlog, since we are at that time of year. I'm so excited for that, but I think I'm going to leave this one here. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and happy reading.